Fernando Valley earlier this morning, and last night that fire just lit up the ridge. And I know you guys threw everything you had at it. Los Angeles City Fire and all the assisting agencies. I think you had about 10 choppers and planes dropping water because that is a very densely packed neighborhood.
Yes, and then one of the other things that we have to our advantage in our arsenal now is that we have night vision capabilities with our helicopters. So now we're able to drop water on the fire 24/7, nonstop. So we're grateful for the new helicopters that we have and the new training that our pilots are going through to ensure that they're qualified to fly at night. So that helps us out a lot to be able to continue that fight and be aggressive.
Do you guys think that this was set on purpose? Let us know in the chat. Was this set on purpose? Let us know where you guys are from, and if you think that this is these fires are set on purpose.
There's a hole on the wing now because of that. That's why we always push out the message to people: don't fly your drones, because if you fly your drones, we can't fly our airplanes or helicopters. It's dangerous for our pilots. And now that airplane is out of commission until Monday.
And you were looking live, photographer Armando Hernandez showing you that VLAT, V-L-A-T. That's how it's commonly referred to among firefighters. Stands for very large air tanker. Doing those water drops, we saw the Colson Helitanker, about 3,000 gallons of water being dropped at a time. That has to be appreciated in a fire like this.
Yes, and then we're thankful that we have water resources that we're able to refuel all our
Do you guys think that this was set on purpose? All these fires? Where are you guys all from? Are any of you guys in the evacuation order?
And that's working, dropping water right now on certain hotspots or flare-ups that we're having that are directly threatening the community that we're in right now.
Okay, so that's part of the aerial assault. Last night we saw that on the ridge over the San Fernando Valley. We're seeing it here over Mandeville Canyon right now, which is under a mandatory evacuation order. I saw you and your partner there speaking to homeowners who have not evacuated. What do you tell them?
You know, it's hard because if I was in their shoes, I don't know what I would do. It's your home, all your stuff that you've grown up with, all your personal belongings are in the house. You don't want to lose anything. So I feel for them. I understand where they're coming from. We see it all the time. But we always try to warn them, like, if you're on your evacuation orders, just grab your stuff. All the stuff can be replaced. But at the same time, we just understand. We get it. We understand the pain that and the stress that they're going through. It's a hard decision to make to leave your home and not try to fight and protect it. So as long as they're safe and if they know when to evacuate, as long as they get out safely, that's all we care about. We don't want anyone to pass away on this fire. That's our main priority is life, property, and the environment in that order.
Edwin Zuniga, thank you, firefighter from CAL FIRE from Placer County. Thank you very much. And you brought up something very important. I don't know if we've already covered this on Fox 11 this morning, but this was breaking news that sadly possible human remains have been found at two other locations, Altadena and Topanga. LA County Sheriff Department, homicide detectives, and the medical examiner, who ultimately will make the determination if they are indeed human remains. But detectives are investigating both at the burnt out rubble in Topanga and also in Altadena, and that is brand new this morning. And officials tells me we could see the death toll on these fires, on all the different fires, go up. Reporting live in Mandeville Canyon, I'm Gigi Graciette. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, to your point, they are sending out search teams now to look for some of the missing. 13 people at last count still missing as family members are searching for some of their loved ones. A live look from Skyfox now here. This is an overhead shot of the Palisades fire. Gigi Graciette reporting from Mandeville Canyon, and this is a fire that you may have noticed moved overnight into the northwest boundary of the fire. And overnight there were mandatory evacuations in the Bel Air, the Brentwood area. There were also evacuations of parts of Encino.
Sherman Oaks as well. This fire grew 1,000 acres overnight. Fire crews are working, incredibly hard on this. They have confirmed 426 homes have been destroyed.
Yeah, we're going to show you some other pictures here because this is a very aggressive firefight to try and put out this fire, which is pretty much at this hour the biggest trouble spot in terms of the fires that are being fought right now. 100 engines there that have been brought to the ground. They've got at least 6 helicopters, and then you heard Edwin Zuniga there from CAL FIRE saying that they have the VLATs, or the very large air tankers. We saw shots of that, of the DC-10 coming down and bringing all that water in Phos-Chek to try and form containment lines there. They're also taking advantage of the weather and a little bit more favorable conditions now, and they're also doing backfires. So some of the smoke that you're looking at is also from creating the containment lines.
Shots right now of a home on fire. This has just been devastating, and it seems, unending. Fire crews have let us know, though, that this fire is 11% contained. More than 21,000 acres in total have burned. New areas under mandatory evacuation orders now, and the sheriff couldn't be, he couldn't have said it stronger how much people need to heed the warnings. If you have gotten a notice that says you need to evacuate now, he says there is no waiting until the last minute. That is your notice that you are in the last minute.
So this is a brand new home that is now burning in that near the Mandeville Canyon area, and it's one home of some of the thousands of structures that have burned. But yet another, really interesting to note at this point is that we're dealing with a time and sort of a window when firefighters had really hoped to gain some ground, and they're doing that as we speak. But the winds backed off just a bit, although they're very erratic, so they're they've pushed the flames into the easterly direction. And what's interesting about this is even though we're not seeing the same velocity of the winds that we had seen in the past few days, this is still enough to spot fires, to carry embers great distances, or in this case, not even a great distance, a short distance. It's enough to catch a home on fire, as we're looking at right now.
Just another example right here that unfortunately we have to show you just to let people know how serious this is. You need to heed these warnings. This is something that, you know, many people living in this area maybe thought they were safe from, especially as the winds did die down. Something Maria Quaban said that's just been on my mind earlier, that, you know, the fire creates its own environment. So to a certain extent, much of this is unpredictable.
Right. We did see that that the winds were swirling just a bit. The Santa Ana's, of course, coming from the east and going towards the shore. But as they backed off, we did see a little bit of an onshore flow as well. So that brought those the winds to the east. And it's interesting because the fire crews have been doing a pretty good job. You know, they map this whole area out. There's a command post that's set up where they have their own maps, and they're in constant contact with all of the aircraft in the air, their crews on the ground, and they see these hot spots. And when they see these hot spots, they're able to do some of these strategic drops to try and prevent these fires from spreading. Yeah. In this situation, there were containment lines, and they, you know, we're looking at a containment now at 11%, so they continue to contain the fire. You can definitely see the lines that were drawn with some of the Phos-Chek and all the red that you see on the hillside, so that prevents the forward progress of the fire. This might be one of those situations where it's just simply a small ember, yeah. And this could have come a very short distance, and that's what might have caught this home on fire.
We saw examples of that happening.
About that spotting, Bob and Brooke, and definitely we mentioned how it doesn't take much of a wind to do that, and this is an example of such a thing. The winds are actually still, the prevailing winds are relatively light. I've just looked at a weather station not too far from where this house is at, and it's a northeasterly wind, fairly light, 5-10 miles an hour, maybe the wind gust at this point. Now, up at the ridgetops, it's a little bit stronger. And of course, as we've been talking about this morning, fires will create their own wind. So that's why you're seeing some of those treetops moving around a lot more and seeing some stronger winds around that home. Sadly, that is burning.
You see these water drops, and they're so amazing to see, and they're able to be so pinpoint. You know, the precision with these water drops is pretty incredible. They're drawing, Maria, you were saying that they were drawing some of this water from the nearby reservoir?
Yeah, we were watching, which I love this app, and some of you, we've talked about the Watch Duty app, and it really does show you the number of the air assets that are in the air, and there is a lot that's been dedicated to the Palisades fire right now. And they've been, for the most part, going to that Stone Canyon Reservoir and watershed. That's the closest one. It's not very far at all, actually, from where this fire is at. Different from last night. Last night, they were drawing a lot of water from that Encino Reservoir, which was a little bit farther to the north, but there's quite a bit of water nearby, and I see right now 2 helicopters getting ready to load up some more water, I'd imagine, to get to that area.
Yeah. So we're mapping this out right here, and you're looking at Pesqueria, looks like road, Westridge Road, Cordelia Road, very close to, again, the Mandeville Canyon area. One thing that they don't want this to do is to go any further toward Encino, and that's why some of those neighborhoods are under a mandatory evacuation. Also, the Brentwood area. It is very alarming that we're looking at one home. I mean, the good news is that we're not seeing the types of winds that could, for the most part, level several homes all at once. It's one spot fire here that seemingly has caught one home on fire, and so it's a little bit of a different firefight right now, and it's definitely concerning to see one more home on fire, but it is still a very different situation than what we were dealing with a couple of days ago. So we have to kind of put it into perspective that they are still looking at a window right now with winds coming tonight or more, or winds picking up tonight, that it is still a window that they're looking at. And yet it's still a very vulnerable spot to be in when you have that much fire and that much, that many embers that are still flying in the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a block away.
And when you consider the relative humidity values, when you consider so many things, Bob, I mean, these meteorologists that work so closely with the fire department, and they talk about the fuel content and the kind of terrain and fuel that's there around this canyon. You know, we have had a very dry year. The start to this water year is the driest now on record. When we talk about the amount of rainfall we've gotten, what a huge difference from last year and the year before. You remember we had 2 back-to-back years of record-breaking rainfall, which took us out of the drought, which also allowed all of this brush to grow. And then we came off of a very dry summer and now a dry fall and winter month. So all of this chaparral, all this growth has become just tinder and fuel for these fires. So when you consider the winds, which are relatively light, you can see how the smoke is not as extreme in its movement. You remember just a few days ago, it was completely almost horizontal, right? Now it's kind of moving in that direction, but not completely horizontal. And so the winds are on their side. And as you're mentioning, I think firefighters, especially the CAL FIRE firefighter that Gigi talked to, they're aware of this window right now between now and this evening, when winds are due to pick up again and those high wind warnings are going to go into effect. This is the window where they're really going to try to attack this fire vigorously.
You know, it's interesting, Maria, seemingly, you know, there is no longer a such thing as fire season. This is January. It's something I keep coming back to, is that this is January. Things are so different these days as far as, you know, our environment, and that you need to really year-round be prepared.
Yep. Let's bring in Gigi. She's still there on the ground.